Hello, this is another part of our interview process to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II. This morning we will be interviewing Desmond Dutcher, the U.S. Navy. Desmond?
Yeah. Hi. You want to know where was I born and where I went to school? Right here in Oswego. Went to school here. I was in high school. I left when the Naval Reserve was called on active duty back May 15th, 1941. I didn't finish high school until I got out of the service. By then, they gave me credit for having had been in the service, and that graduated me, so no problem. There wasn't any other Scriba residents with me except, well, you know, when we first went in, I went out to the West Coast to go to school. The other guys went aboard an oiler, the Chemung, and that was on the East Coast.
Okay.
My position, my duties, well, I graduated from school. I was assigned to a utility squadron 2. And during the war, we went from squadron 2 to 7 to 9, all utility squadrons.
Okay, now I think there are probably people who don't know what a utility squadron is.
A utility squadron, we had 2 duties. One was to tow targets for aircraft, gunnery schools, and ships. And we towed them from airplanes. They'd fire guns at them, and well, they, you know, helped their training. The other job was to take pictures, photographs. So I wasn't in the photographic end of it. I was with the, you know, where we towed targets. I was aviation ordnanceman, was dealt with guns, bombs, and that kind of thing. Being in the utility squadron, though, we didn't have too much to do with loading bombs, torpedoes, and the guns and all that other stuff, because we're pretty much unarmed.
Okay.
Now, when did you actually enlist in the Naval Reserve?
I enlisted January 20th, 1941.
Okay.
I was at the children's home there in Oswego. My guardian was a judge. He wouldn't sign the papers so I could join. So when I became 18, then I joined.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened.
Okay. Okay. And how old were most of your fellow troops? That.
Oh Lord. Well, in the reserve, heck, like they were pretty much, you know, I guess their 30s and 40s. But I was 18 at the time. When I got to the squadron, same way there. You know, there's older persons in the squadron. My duties were all details there. Even though I graduated from school, heck, as a matter of fact, during the attack on Pearl Harbor, which I was at, I was mess cooking, serving food to the troops.
Okay.
So, you know, and I had bum duties. I also was helping to, later on, pack parachutes. We got a thing for school in the States. They asked me, you know, if I wanted to go there, since I was actually doing it. I said, heck yes. So I went back to the States to go to parachute materiel school. And when I got back to the squadron, they asked me what I wanted to be, a parachute rigger or an ordnanceman. I told them an ordnanceman, so that's what they assigned me to do.
And what does an ordnanceman do?
Well, we towed targets, you know, from the airplanes. We'd take off, tie the targets onto the cable, let's stream it out, and then when it got done, either they shot it down or we cut it loose. We'd reel the wire back onto the tow reel and land.
Okay.
So
And you shoot a couple of these use a couple of these targets each time?
Oh yeah, we'd use quite a few targets, and of course we'd lose a lot of the wire too. They, you know, wouldn't always hit the target area. They'd hit the wire area, or maybe the shrapnel would hit the wire, and we'd lose several feet of wire. And if it got a little too close to the plane, why we had to switch to another tow reel. If we didn't have it, we'd go back to the base there and get another tow reel wire.
Okay.
That's the way it worked.
Now, when you were in the Naval Reserve, did
Yeah.
you do your training over on Wright's Landing?
No, we were at the Army outfit there on West First Street.
Oh, the Armory.
Yeah, see, it wasn't until after the war that they moved to what they call the Naval Militia, which is the old yacht club down there.
Right, that's right.
And
Okay, then you went on active duty and you went where for boot camp?
we went to Rhode Island, Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
We all went together,
Uh-huh.
and of course, a lot of these guys there, and we'd wear boots or, leggings while we're, on duty there. And the same deal when we go into town to Liberty, wear our dumb leggings, and some of the guys would take them off and leave them in this lumber yard off the base there. And, for them it was a little weird because, heck, they had, they were rated men, and they had considerable time in the Navy. Some of them were in World War I,
Wow. Okay.
So that's what happened.
Now, your unit was actually then called to active duty, is that right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
What was the date of that?
May 15th, 41.
Okay. Okay.
Then after you left Newport, you went where?
I went out to San Diego, California to go to school.
Okay.
I went out to become a electrician's mate, but everybody figured that, after we got off active duty, why, that'd be a good job, The only other thing they had was aviation ordnance, and I liked aviation, so I figured, what the heck, I'll go for the aviation ordnance, which I did.
Mm-hmm. So this was in San Diego?
San Diego, yes.
Yeah. And then you were shipped from San Diego to Hawaii?
Pearl Harbor, yes.
Okay.
And you arrived there at what point?
Oh, I was out there for probably about October or something,
Okay.
because I got a letter out there in my truck there, October 8th. I was just describing, what was on the base there to
Mhm.
somebody, and,
You were staying on Ford Island?
yeah, Ford Island, yes,
Okay.
right in the middle of Pearl Harbor there.
Okay.
The Naval Air Station there.
Okay.
So you had several months to get acquainted with the area
Oh, yeah,
before December 7th.
yeah.
Yeah. On December 7th, when was the first time or what was your reaction when you heard of
Well,
the Japanese coming?
we were in our bunks reading magazines and stuff, and we, heard this gunfire, machine guns. And being a Sunday and that, we figured, it's probably the Army, coming there to challenge the Navy.
Okay.
Aerial guns or, combat, not really combat, but flying around there. And we looked out through this, we were on like a veranda there over the field. And we looked at them and we saw these planes there, and Lord, there's, flames coming out of the front of them. My God, you hear the bullets ricocheting. What the heck, they're firing real ammunition, We saw the red spots on their planes, and we didn't know it was Japanese, or at least I didn't. I never even gave a thought who the heck it might be. But, this chief petty officer, he was running around the other part of the building there, busting out the windows so nobody would get cut by flying glass in case of explosions, blowing the glass into the building. Then they ran us downstairs to get under the mess deck, or in the mess deck, under the tables, where we're supposed to be safe. Guys are streaming in off the ships, in various stages of undress, and some of them in pretty bad shape, They were doing what they could. They had them laying on the tables and ministering them, for wounds and stuff. And then they wanted somebody to get some blankets. I volunteered, but they already had them out. Then they wanted somebody to help clean some machine guns, so I went out to do that because I'd been through ordnance school. I know what that guy's doing. And so I cleaned about 6 or 8 of them, and some guy come in, they wanted to help fight a fire down on the pier. And what it was is the pilings under this cement pier were on fire. The oil on the water was burning, and it got on the pilings there. and there's guys in a motor whaleboat over the side there, spraying the hose on the pilings there to put it out. And we worked our way down, and we just got just about down to the end of it, and whoosh, and we had a flashback, and we had to start all over again. We finally got it out. By then, most of the action with the Japanese was pretty well over. I went back to the barracks. They're passing out cigarettes, cokes, clothes, and different things like that. And some guys are loading up their clothes, stuffing in their lockers and cigarettes. Everything was for free, and boy, they took advantage of it. But, and then that night, we slept down there in the mess decks, and I loaned some guy my blanket, and that was the last time I saw that. But, all night long, every now and then there'd be some gunfire, and then pretty soon they all opened up. Because, they all saw something or the other. And by then, the planes from the carriers, which were not in Pearl Harbor at the time, came in and started landing. And by then, everybody was armed, of course, and they shot a bunch of them down, killed them, That's what it was.
Now, with all the casualties from the
Yeah.
attack, did they start setting up makeshift hospitals in the mess hall and places?
Well, that's where they treated them, yes. The guys were coming in off the ships,
Okay.
and on the land. And of course, the hospital was right across the street from where I was. I was in the main barracks there. And I don't know what was going on over there, but I imagine there's a bunch of people being taken care of there too.
Okay.
And of course, the Marines, they were out in the streets there with their rifles and that, but they're pretty ineffective, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you describe what, maybe if you walked around later, can you describe some of the scenes that you saw?
Oh, yeah. Lord, they bombed a bunch of the buildings, like when I went to pack parachutes and that building there was wiped out there. They full of holes and all that. Of course, all the planes were shot up and banged and bombed and strafed with machine guns, and it was really a mess around the whole island there. And of course, the ships were all laying over, sunk, burned, and they're just bad.
I would imagine that for the few days after Pearl Harbor, there were a lot of rumors flying.
Well, I don't remember any
Okay.
rumors in that. Somebody was saying, it was Japanese, but I didn't understand what the deal was. Why the Japanese would do that. Of course, I wasn't that familiar, with Japanese or anything. So.
I see.
What was the attitude of most of the soldiers after the attack?
They're all pretty bitter, of course, but I don't know what their attitude was.
Now, you continued on in Hawaii for a number of months after Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, well, like I say, I went to back to the States to go to
Okay, yeah.
parachute materiel school, and when we got back, by then we went overseas. So, I wasn't there that much.
Where else did you go overseas?
We hit most of the various islands in the Pacific. We go from one to another. As the war progressed, we went with them. Of course, we were back a little ways because we were primarily non-combatants. We didn't have any guns in our airplanes. We had most of the armament was taken off, so that the planes would be lighter for all the towing gear that we had. And that's pretty much what it was.
Okay. So you were helping to in the training with the targets
That's about it,
as
yes.
they went along to each
Yes.
island. And-
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, the photographic area, they took pictures around various things as the war progressed too, aerial photographs. We'd also fill in for squadrons that didn't have the aircraft or people available for patrols. We'd make patrols too. And I know on one case there, where the heck were we? New Hebrides, I guess, New Hebrides. We went on one patrol. I wasn't in the plane at the time, but we had some that had armament in them for that purpose. And they pursued a Japanese Bedia, which is a light bomber, and they shot the darn thing down. Well, when the pilot came back, he made his report. He got his ass chewed up because, you know, he jeopardized his plane and the men and all that. They're on it for patrol, not to win the war.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So you were in the New Hebrides area,
Yeah.
Solomon Islands?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Australia, did you make?
We made one trip down someplace in South America, or I'm sorry, Australia rather. They had some kind of a storm come in, and I was on an island down by there. I can't think of the name of the darn thing. And we went down there with the planes for just overnight, and then we came right back again. They didn't even leave the airfield.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the only time I was in Australia.
No, New Guinea?
New Guinea, yes, and
It's just north of Australia.
yeah.
Okay,
But that wasn't the island though. I can't think of the name of it.
okay. Probably one of the smaller ones.
No, it's pretty good size.
Good size?
Yeah.
How about, you must have been in the Philippines group.
Oh, I ended up in the Philippines,
Okay.
but that's further north.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were, you said your division was a little bit behind everyone else because they were doing a lot of the training with the
Yeah.
targets. So by the time you arrived at most of the islands, were they already secure?
Well, we'd taken the islands, but there's a lot of Japanese around,
Okay.
and mostly non-combatant. And but we were armed so that, you know, in case we ran into it and had encounters with them, you know, we could defend ourselves.
Okay. Okay. When you were at some of the islands, some of the smaller islands or the Philippines,
Yeah.
what was the reaction of the people on those islands? The people who live there?
They're all friendly, and you know, most of the islands, you know, they had natives there, and you know, they had a whole bunch of kids and that, and they're more of a pain in the butt, you know, than anything else, you know.
Okay.
You know, they want stuff from you, you know. Of course, we had everything, you know, the food and everything else, and
Mhm.
they weren't too advanced, you know,
Mhm.
and that. So you had all this equipment, and they didn't know anything about it.
Okay. Okay. And then where did you go after that? After you were in the Philippines, you ended up there.
Yeah, I ended up there, and then they said that, well, we got to get rid of the guys in the States before we can send you back for separation. So
Okay.
we were stalled around there for a while, and finally they sent us back.
Okay.
And I went back to Long Island for separation.
Mhm.
Now, do I recall that you were in Japan sometime or other?
Oh yeah, later on. Yeah, I was there for 4 years. I was correctional counselor there in the brig in Japan for 4 years.
Now, were you on active duty or?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I see, okay.
I was USN then. Before that, I was USNR.
Okay, right.
But and I was also liaison to the Japanese prison there. You know, they had Americans in the Japanese prisons for various offenses. You know,
Mhm.
murder, rape, arson, all different kinds of stuff. And we, you know, worked with the Japanese with them. They'd go down, we'd discuss problems and stuff, and we'd talk to some of them.
Mhm.
And we'd bring them mail and movies, and or not movies, but things. I used to feed, you know, bring food to them too, every week. I'd bring out various amounts of food, because, you know, they couldn't just live on Japanese food.
Mhm.
So the Americans would, you know, help feed them too.
Okay.
Fish heads and rice were not too
No,
advantageous.
but, you know.
Yeah. You were in there, you were there in Japan, it was 1964 to 69, is that right?
65 to 69.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That long after World War II, how was the feelings towards Americans then?
It was all right. Heck, I got along real fine with the Japanese, you know.
Mhm.
I met one of the big shots there, some kind of lawyer or the other, you know. He bowed real deep, you know, and I bowed back, and I didn't know what the heck to do, but, you know, I just followed suit. And apparently that was a greeting, you know, and heck, you know, they respected us.
Okay.
And we got along fine, no problems.
Now, were you based in Yokohama?
Yeah, I lived in Yokohama.
Okay.
I worked in the Yokosuka
Okay.
is where, you know,
The
the
naval
naval
base
base
was.
is there, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What sorts of information during World War II did you hear about the war elsewhere?
Well, I don't remember ever having a radio or anything, but I was aware of some of the stuff there. I don't know if it was in the movies or what, but I knew some about, you know, the British and stuff, and farther there, I don't just remember where it was, but I know that some of them showed some of their warfare and stuff like that.
In those days, when you went to the movies, they had maybe 10 or 15 minutes of newsreels.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this was really a primary source of material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And, you know, I was really excited about Pearl Harbor because, heck, I'd seen in the movies, you know, all the bombing and stuff in England there. And oh boy, it's finally happening here, you know. It was really exciting, you know. I didn't worry about getting injured or anything, you know.
Uh-huh.
What the heck?
Yeah, it would. What was one of the most memorable moments during the war for you?
I don't know, I got a little lonely after a while, you know. Heck, on these islands there, and there's nothing, you know. They had movies and stuff, and you go around different areas, you know, that on one island there'd be, you know, Army, Air, and you know, they had their own Air Force, the Army did, and you'd go around to different bases to see different movies and different things going on, and it got a little boring after a while, you know, just being there by yourself.
Okay. So during the times when there wasn't action, it was spending your time doing those things?
Yeah, and every so often, like that, you know, planes would come over, bombers and stuff, you know, they drop a few bombs around by us and stuff like that. But, you know, they're too high up to even send a fighter up there, but, you know, it was at night.
Okay.
And, you know, it was a pain in the butt, but, you know.
What were your duties when you were on the ground and not flying the missions with the targets?
Well, upkeep of the equipment and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, did you have USO troops come in to entertain anywhere along the line?
Not where I was. I don't know, you know, you see
Yeah.
Bob Hope was with a USO troop here and there and that, but, you know, you'd hear about it, but I don't know.
Not in your area?
No, no.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about the war?
Not that I know of, you know.
Okay. What kind of things did you do? I guess when did you come back to the U.S.? You were enlisted in the Navy for several years, and then well, when did you come back?
Well, like, well, at the end of the war there, that was, I think about December of '45 or so. Then I joined the Naval Reserve again. Got called on active duty for the Korean War. Spent about a year and a half on active duty for that. I got in the Naval Reserve again, and well, when I got in the reserve, I was Airedale, of course. Well, they didn't have any Airedales there. Then I had to change my rating, and I figured, you know, engineman would be a good thing to go for, you know, diesel engines and stuff. The Bureau disapproved it, so they said, try something else. What else is there? Why don't you try personnelman? I said, what the heck's a personnelman? I said, well, it's a clerical rating. Except you talk to people. I said, put me in for that, because I'm a bullshitter from the word go. And I put me in for that. I was approved. So I became an engineman, or a personnelman. And, you know, I switched right over. I was second class at the time. And I was down there at the Reserve Training Center doing paperwork for, you know, recruiting and that kind of stuff. And the commanding officer said, why don't you come in every day? And I said, doggone, I'm on my own time. Be thankful I'm here today. And they said, no, I mean, put in for it. So I said, what the heck, I'd lost my civilian job, why not? So I put in for it. It was approved, so I worked down there for a while until the Navy decided to do away with what they called the TAR program, Training and Administration of the Reserve. So I figured, well, you either ship regular or get out, so I shipped for 6 years because, heck, by then I had about 10.5 years of active duty, and I figured a little over halfway, so, you know, if I go for 6, it'll be just about it, you know? So that's what I did.
Okay. And what did you do when you came back to Oswego or back to Scriba?
Well, I worked Flexo Wire Company. I worked there, and that's where I got laid off from. That's when I, you know, went back to Reserve Training Center there.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
But that's about it.
Well, that's very good. We appreciate your coming in.
Quite all right.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right.